Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank all of you for being here for a hearing to discuss how we can strengthen and preserve Social Security, which I think we all agree has been a critical program, anti-poverty program, retirement program, disabilities program for tens of millions of people in our country. And I want to commend Senator Sanders for his legislation, which would extend the solvency of Social Security by 75 years. We all know that around 2033, 2034, we're going to hit a cliff. And if we don't do anything, you're going to see between a 22 and 25% reduction in benefits. And while there are certain provisions in the bill that I would do differently, I'm supporting and a co-sponsor of Senator Sanders' effort because I think it's a good faith proposal on the table to actually do something right now. I've also supported other efforts like Social Security 2100 and provisions taking some of increasing the estate tax and putting some of those funds into strengthening Social Security. So I just have a very simple question. I'm going to start with Ms. Altman. Do we have the luxury of waiting for another 9 years before we fix it, or should we fix this thing now?
It's part of what Social Security provides is not just cash benefits, but a sense of security, peace of mind. And for that reason, acting sooner rather than later is the right thing to do.
You know, I agree. I mean, we have gotten closer to the cliff in the past, but right now we're facing quite a potential shortfall if we don't do anything. Mr. Roach, the average benefit right now is $1,540 a month for most Americans. And my question to you is that enough to both provide affordable housing, cost of medicine, food, and other essentials?
Absolutely not. It's not enough. Out of that amount of money you spoke about, let's say it's like $18,000 a year, $5,000 goes automatically to co-pays and prescription drugs and supplemental plans. So basically, that amount of money, with that amount of money alone, people are in poverty. They start out retirement in poverty. It's inadequate. It needs to be increased substantially.
And that, of course, would be cut by somewhere between 22 and 25% if we don't do anything right now. Ms. McGinnis, thank you for your testimony. We've worked on lots of issues, and we are trying on the Build Back Better piece to salvage a portion of it, dealing with clean energy and prescription drug costs, and to pay for it by closing some big tax loopholes that big corporations are right now exploiting, and some very wealthy individuals, and not only pay for it, but as you know, try to achieve some deficit reduction in the process. I hope we get there. So I've worked on this issue for a very long time, as you have. I served on the ill-fated super committee. I worked really hard on the super committee to try to address the Social Security fiscal solvency issue. We didn't get there. I agree with Senator Braun. I mentioned in one of our early hearings in this committee that I believe it's a matter of political will. And I understand the Trust Act. We can set up a process for trying to get there. We of course, tried that with Simpson-Bowles. We tried that with the super committee. And at the end of the day, I do believe it's a question of political will. And what Senator Sanders has done is put together a plan on the table, open to everybody firing at it. People don't like it. They can say why they don't like it. But it seems to me the beginning of this conversation needs to be an alternative plan from our Republican colleagues. Put your plan on the table so we can discuss it, not something discussed behind closed doors through some bipartisan effort. I'm for a bipartisan solution, but that has to begin by somebody on the Republican side also putting together their plan. Let people look at it. Let the American people take shots at it, just like they can take shots at the plan Sanders has put forward and others. So don't you think, Ms. McGinnis, that we should see in a transparent fashion an alternative plan introduced by Republican colleagues or a bipartisan group or whatever that says here's a different way to do it than the Sanders plan?
Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. I think that's a great point. I think that makes sense. Senator Sanders should be commended for putting forth a plan that reaches, I think, 75-year solvency. I haven't seen the details yet, but that's great. I would quibble with a lot of details, but agreed. So we could have another plan from the Republican side and work to come up with the compromises, because it absolutely does have to be bipartisan. We can't get this done with just one party or the other. The only thing I would say, and this comes from my observations of this hearing, is that there is so much talk about us and them. There is so much performative exaggeration on this podium that we have sat through. And our country is so polarized, and we are in such trouble right now. I'd really like to sit down with a group of Republicans and Democrats and work on this together as well. So I appreciate all you've done on this for many, many years. And I think that proposal is great. We would work with any Republicans to come up with a proposal. But it's also time to do this as members of Congress who are the fiduciaries for the program. That's my plea to all of you.
No, I appreciate that. But again, I think having been through this process and trying to build better mousetraps for getting there in the past, I do think it begins with putting proposals on the table that people are willing to be tested by their peers, their colleagues, and the public, and then go forward. And that's what, and I appreciate your commending Senator Sanders for putting together a good faith effort. I'd like to see other good faith efforts from people who disagree with the Sanders approach. I agree with the overall thrust of the proposal he's put forward, but we'd like to see other ideas.
We will work on trying to get some of those out there. Thank you. Good to have two bookends then.
Thank you.